Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the debut author of a children's book, The Boy in the Tree, no other than Mr. Joel Arcieri.
Hi, how are you, sir?
I'm fabulous, fabulous, Mr. Joel. And can you please introduce more about yourself that
Yes,
I miss?
my name is Joel Arcieri, but I go by J. Conwell as an author because it's a lot easier to spell and pronounce than my actual last name. And I have been writing stories, music ever since I was a young kid. But I actually entered into the writing space, published writing space, about a few years ago when I had a really good friend of mine at my job say, "Hey, you can say all the things that you want to say, but if you don't write a book and you publish it, no one really takes you seriously." And I thought that's fair. So I wrote a book on corporate culture, and what I soon realized is no one reads those books half the time. And I thought, as a parent myself, who reads countless kids' books to my kids every night, and sometimes the same kids' book over and over and over and over again every night, I thought, man, there are these people that are just like me that have kids that are reading all these different kids' books. What if there were kids' books that were better geared towards unpacking things that pertain to emotional intelligence, things like weakness, risk, and failure and embarrassment? And that all kind of hit ahead when I was actually going through my own counseling. So I actually have a master's in counseling, and then recently I was going through counseling about a few years ago, and my counselor specializes in this type of therapy called EMDR, which is stands for movement desensitization reprocessing. It's a whole thing. Anyway, all it does is you talk through trauma in your past, and every time you start that type of therapy with them, they'll always go, okay, let's make an inventory of all the traumas you have. And they make you think back to the earliest traumatic memory, and I'm going, I don't know, I'm 33 at the time, and I'm going, I don't know if I remember anything traumatic when I was really young. And then he goes, well, think of something that you just didn't like. And then I said, I don't know, I got stuck in a tree. And he goes, let's talk about that. So lo and behold, I talked through this with him, and I realized that when I got stuck in a tree when I was younger, I hated it because I got so embarrassed. My friends saw me, my dad had to come rescue me, and it became this whole thing. And I didn't realize it, but I had endeavored then and forevermore to never be embarrassed ever again, to control everything in my life so that I would never be put in that position. And I didn't know that until recently. And so my counselor, who was a fantastic counselor, said, you should write, like maybe write a poem about it or something, because you're a writer. Why don't you do that? And I said, fine. So I wrote a poem about it called The Boy in the Tree. And he liked it so much, he said, you need to finish this and make this a real book and then publish it. And so I did. And it's really interesting how kind of both of those things were happening at the same time, right? I had published a corporate culture book, realized no, most adults aren't really doing that. We're spending time with our kids now, and realizing, okay, there's probably better, like you've said, there's so many kids coming into the world before when we were talking before the podcast, so many kids coming into the world. There's so many parents trying to invest in their kids and their well-being and their emotional intelligence. What if there are better books like that? And then my counselor says, you should write this book. And so it was really cool how they kind of came together. But that's a little bit more about me and even just kind of like the story of The Boy in the Tree.
Mr. Joel Arcieri, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping
Thank you
for
very much.
more empowering children's books like this to come. So tell us, The Boy in the Tree when weak is okay, so powerful. Can you unpack the significance of the boy in the tree metaphor and what this
Yeah.
represents?
Yeah. What's really interesting is you can kind of go a couple different ways, right? So you could go the idea of, and I've had a couple adults who have read this ahead of the book coming out, who have said they identify with the boy in the tree and they feel still stuck in a tree. And I think that's one of the really cool things about this metaphor is that different age ranges can kind of pull different things, right? And so for younger age ranges, which is really what this book is written for, those kids are going to get the power from understanding, hey, it's okay to be weak because that's kind of part of life. And if you never take risks and you never risk embarrassment, then you're not really going to be living. Like, you're just kind of going to be coasting. And then that's also not fun too. But then also it pushes against what I think a lot of our culture is doing right now, specifically with social media and everything, that kids are just kind of taught to, like, you just either got to be popular or just don't get in anyone's way. And whatever you have to do that, that's what you focus on. So if that's like you have to be really outgoing and everyone likes you and be crazy or funny or rich or whatever, that's what you do. Or just don't ruffle any feathers, don't make anyone angry, that's what you have to do, right? And so kids are now becoming these like very stale individuals rather than sponges, which they are. They're supposed to absorb all that life gives them. And so that's where I think it's powerful there. So kids can see it as like just like climbing a tree, right? There's an inherent danger in it. You got to kind of take a risk. That's kind of life
Hmm.
as well. Is life is filled with risks, but that's kind of what the beauty of it is to live, is to take risks. And then for adults, it's, hey, did something happen? Not maybe when you were really young, but maybe even recently. Was it? Did you lose someone? Did you lose a job? Did you XYZ, whatever it is? But did that feel like it got you stuck in a tree? And do you then, now are you still stuck and need to come down, or did you get out but now you're never going to like touch that again? You don't want to go near this part of life because you're afraid you'll get stuck again. And a kind of a message in the book is there's always trees to climb if you look around, meaning you need to continue to just take that next step and go for it, whatever it is, because if you get embarrassed, if you fail, that's fine. That's part of life.
Yes, not afraid to fail, people, because those failures make you perfect in the future. Make sure you learn from them. Our culture often equates strength with, well, many invulnerability. How does
Yeah.
your book redefine what it means to be truly strong?
Yeah, it's actually really fun. Is I've kind of been putting out some more resources for parents, right? And strength for a lot of kids, and I have a couple kids that are young myself. What I've seen them learn is strength comes more from your ability to be resilient rather than your in the moment kind of grit that sometimes kids can show, like, oh, I'm just going to go do this. Sure, resilience though is really the true depth of strength. Is, can you try something again even though it didn't go well, but it could get better, right? So for an example, my daughter has a memory verse she has to read at school tomorrow when we're recording this, and she told me the other night that she's nervous about it because it's the first time. And I told her, hey, I get that because I've everything that's new to me, I get nervous too about. But the cool thing is, you're going to be done, and you're not going to be new to it anymore. And then the next time you do it, you'll have already done it. And to me, that's strength. That's resilience. Being able to say, I'm just going to continue to go ahead and keep doing this and exert myself in that way rather than strength. I think a lot of times people think is, can you pull from that in the moment now and you be good? Not can you last longer, can you endure, which I think really it helps redefine strength in that way.
Redefining strength for sure. So, what was the defining moment or series of events that made you realize that the message weak is okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of it comes into, right. So I'm now 34. I'm on the millennial side, and most of us millennial parents can kind of understand that you've seen a trajectory for how society has pushed both men and women to what they should be and how they should act. And a lot of men have been pushed to, you either are very, very strong, very masculine, traditionally masculine, don't show emotions, right? Or you are so in touch with your emotions that you're the complete opposite, right? And a lot of our parents, my generation's parents, had that hard time showing emotions. So then the millennial side of us are a little bit more in touch with our emotions, or a lot more in touch. What to me I wanted to do was I wanted to write a book that helped not just boys but girls too, but help boys see that this their life, the way that they develop, can't just be influenced by the world around them or whatever society tells you you need to do at that moment, right? Because that usually is just like a pendulum swing, right? You have whatever the last generation said was good, whether it was generation before us gave everyone participation trophies, and now we don't give anyone participation trophies, right? Tough love versus like gentle parenting. And the mess really to me was it just constantly shifts. I would rather present a message that is steady. That's not going to shift no matter what happens in society.
This book seems deeply personal. How did writing it serve as a part of your own healing process?
Yeah, it's a great question, Daniel. I What's interesting is in a couple ways, right? So you've got one, just literally just writing out the story itself is a part of therapy. It's called narrative therapy, right? Where you write out a story, or that could be real or fictional, and in the act of writing it, you are taking control back from maybe a situation that you didn't have control in, right? And that's the beauty of narrative therapy is it gives you control in a healthy way, right? Rather than like wrestling it from someone else in real life. And so in my own story, just writing the story itself was therapeutic because I got to unpack how I felt, right? And then even unpack like what that meant as I lived. And then even having myself write what the moral of the story is, right? It's almost like I'm counseling myself. So that helped in the healing there. But then also too, you know this as you've been around writing and publishing for a long time. There is also an element of relinquishing control when you go through an editing process, right? And so you've written this story and you like all the words, and then an editor says, well, this, we kind of need to change this or change this just to make it fit better, or the meter to fit better, or thematically to fit better. And you just giving up that control and saying, yeah, I agree. I think you know best. I'm like, this, there's a reason why you're the editor and I'm the author. So let's go with that, right? Even in that moment, I felt healing too, because I was letting go of the story in a good way too. So
Can you tell us about the boy who were before this journey? What did you feel you had to hide from the
yeah,
world?
honestly, weakness. I mean, really, I felt like I had to act like everything was always good, or lie and say that I was doing more or I had more going on than I did. And I also, something funny that I realized, I don't know if this is the case for you, but as I kind of talked more about this and embarrassment and the idea of embarrassment, I would tell people, yeah, I when I get embarrassed, I would I feel like I get a fever. I start to sweat, my temperature jumps up 10 degrees. I start to shake. And I would ask people, does that happen to you? And they go, no, that doesn't happen to me. What are you talking about? Like, wait, so you don't tell me. So like if you're in the middle of a line at a grocery store and you accidentally do something, or someone asks you a question you don't know the answer of, you don't panic. And they're going, no, I don't panic. What is And so I even just saw that. I saw that I thought that that was normal. And so, but I hid that. I didn't tell people that that was going on because I thought, well, I mean, I don't want to bother anyone. Or even just that idea, when I got married, right? Showing my weakness to my spouse, to my wife. I didn't, I wasn't comfortable doing that because I felt like in showing my weakness, in showing my vulnerability, I was not being the man that she wanted or needed me to be, which was not true. And so I was actually withholding something of myself that she needed. And so, I mean, honestly, those were the few things, right? So, being younger, just avoiding embarrassment, and then as I got older, right, not letting people see that vulnerable side of me.
On society and masculinity, Mr. Joel, how do you believe traditional notions of masculinity have failed boys and men, and how
Hmm.
does your book offer a view path forward?
Yeah, I think like you're asking, why what do I think the message has for people today? I think what it does is it kind of cuts through what I really believe the issue is just like I said, the pendulum, right? We want to go, okay, well, traditional masculinity, whatever that would be, made men out to be this. So we're not going to do that, right? We're going to do that instead. We're going to do the opposite, always the antithesis. And for me, I think it pushes against that in And like I said, it's these boys need to be boys. They need to be. I have a son now too. He's only one, but he's such a boy, and they need to risk. They need to fight. They need to get that energy out. They are these little energy balls of testosterone and masculine energy. It's insane just how a 1 year old can have all that, and just seeing him want to get that out. Boys need to have an outlet for that, right? You don't. I don't want them to suppress any of that in themselves. And that's not what this book is telling kids to do. It's actually to say, no, you need that urge to want to climb things, that urge to want to just go crazy and go nuts. Like that's good. That's a part of how you're wired. Use it, and then but don't be afraid when things don't go well, right? And then also at the same time, you need to be able to be honest with yourself and people around you, right? Are you feeling nervous? That's totally fine. To not say that you're not feeling nervous is to actually deny that side of yourself that other people need to know and you need to be able to know more about, right? And so I think that's really what it does. Is it just basically says it's more of a balance than one or the other, right? You have this innate energy and desire that you're wired with, but then also there's an element of you have to be able to kind of understand why you're thinking and why you're feeling the way you're feeling and be able to articulate that. And I think that even kind of goes back, as I don't know if you're a history buff, but earlier in history, there were people that would talk about like a a man is someone who's able to very eloquently explain themselves. And I think we've lost a lot of that with the kind of social media culture we have and emojis and texting and everything. We just kind of no one really talks about how they're doing, really. We just kind of shorthand it. And so I also want to push back into that age a little bit, where it was when men could talk about how they're really doing in a way that's not um, puffy and fluffy and flowery, but just honest.
Just honest for sure. So, Mr. Joel, as a debut author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, honestly, I'd like to make back all the money I spent on my hardcovers, but but no, I think honestly, short term is I want to I want to see people buy 2 books a piece, not because like I want more money, but more because I want families to get their own opportunity to kind of talk through these things with their kids, like I already have with mine as a result of this book. But then also, as they've discovered how helpful that is, then just be able to give that book to someone else, right? Gifting a book, which I think is really, I love that. I love the idea of gifting a book, specifically one about kids and emotional intelligence, to a friend or someone you know and you like, or you love. And so that's kind of short term. As the time of recording this, I have a book launch event here in Greenville, South Carolina. That's going to be a big deal. I've inflatables, face painting, balloons, all this kind of stuff, fun stuff. And I'm hoping that goes off really well. And then my publisher and I are having the kickoff event in Atlanta. But long-term goals, honestly, I already have the sister book that would come out to kind of go alongside this one in a few years. And I've got it's already the idea there, that it's already been written. I just need to edit it and proof it and all that kind of stuff. But my long-term goals are really just to continue to write more books, not just kids book, but books that unpack emotional intelligence. And if you were to ask me what's my goal in 10 years, so when I'm 44, I want to have written or released at least 4 more kids books, and one of the sci-fi books that I've already written. I just have to get out there. So I want to just write more books.
Good luck to your goals. Mr. Joel, looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people that don't want to be an author like
Hmm.
you?
Honestly, you have to find the thing that you love in writing, right? Whatever that is. And then you have to chase it. And chasing it doesn't just kind of mean you wander aimlessly. You got to have some type of plan, right? And so for me, my thing is emotional intelligence, right? That's my through line. So if I'm writing a sci-fi book or a kids book, that's kind of at the core, and that excites me when I write books. And honestly, you can't write a book if unless you're excited. It's going to be the most tedious, monotonous. You're going to resent it. It's going to be terrible. You need to be writing about something that you love that will fuel you to keep doing it. Or if you're writing about something that you're passionate about, but not something that you love, write about the thing that you love on the side. and that will give you the energy to write about the other thing. And then also, I mean, I feel like it's old hat to say already and cliche, but if you're not using AI to help you frame your thoughts and your outlines of your ideas and your books, you're I mean, you're putting yourself behind people that you don't need to be behind. I mean, you just, whether it's ChatGPT or whatever, you need to bounce your ideas off of it, and ChatGPT can help you make sense of that and go, yeah, that's actually in line with what you've been trying to do, and it makes sense because you wrote this book, right? Like, you can just train it to be your assistant. It doesn't write the book for you, but someone that can help keep you in line of, oh yeah, that's right, this is where the outline's going, I want to go here, right? Or what do you think, did I say this well enough? And then it can help you so that when you get further along in the process, you're already more polished than, say, like, you just kind of have an idea, right? You might even have a rough manuscript. So that would be the thing. I would say you chase that idea that you love and leverage good tools to help you, like AI.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Joel. And what can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Ooh, okay, great. I love the Chronicles of Narnia. It was my one of my favorite book series growing up. I would read that every summer. I actually had the book that had all the books in one. Um, and so I would read that one every summer. So the Chronicles of Narnia, my favorite one of the Chronicles of Narnia is The Boy and His Horse. Is my favorite one.
Nice. And thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Joel, on impact and reader response. What has been the most moving or unexpected feedback you received from a reader about your book impacted them?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's that message that I got from a parent that said that they felt like they identified with the book, in the kid in the book, the boy in the tree, and they felt like, man, actually, I've been stuck and I need to do work in my own life and uncover maybe those things that are going on, which is really awesome because, a healthier parent, a healthier mom or dad, right, is going to mean a healthier child as they grow. And so to me, that was such a beautiful thing to hear, that a parent said, this helped me so much to see that I need to go do some work on myself. You know,
Hmm. Yes, definitely. And if you could get every reader to embrace one single truth from your book, what would it be? Especially children.
yeah, life is way better. It's more, it's richer, it's fuller when you live it with a little bit of risk. And so just keep taking risks.
Yes, take the risk, people, because who knows, you will be successful like
True.
Mr. Joel.
Wait till I sell
take,
all my books first, and then you can say I'm successful.
take the risk, don't be afraid. How has the journey of writing and publishing this children's book changed you?
Yeah. Honestly, it's helped me find the thing that I love more than anything, and it's writing. I mean, some people might write as a hobby. Others might write just because they have an idea, right? And it's just kind of a one and done. I feel as if I've found what I've been put on this world for, and what I want to do till I die, which is just write books and write a lot of them about many topics, and have those through lines of emotional intelligence. But I've learned so much about myself, and just that I love that, and I am my best self when I am writing. And I've been using that as a tool to help if I wrestle with anxiety or depression, and I feel those struggles. I write, and it's almost like I'm instantly better. And so I learning that about myself was just eye opening. My wife has even said it. She's felt like there's this new life about me as I've realized that that's really what I want to do, right? I have a job and everything, but ultimately I want to write for the rest of my life. And if that can be my thing, then that will be what I pay the bills with.
Definitely. And what is so radical, especially for men, to publicly state that weak is okay?
Well, I mean, honestly, because as much as vulnerability is a thing now, and we like to kind of prop that up and prop people up who are vulnerable, I still believe that there is a level of a posturing fakeness, right? We're putting on a front, And so the vulnerability is still kind of informed by what would fit best to make me look best, right? Rather than just an honest transparency. And I think that's what we really need. Because, I mean, you can look on LinkedIn and social media and wherever, and you just see the best versions of people, even when they're trying to be weak, vulnerable about their weakness. Um, I think it really, like, let's actually go no filter. Let's actually get rid of all the polish and be honest. And that's what I try to do.
Honesty is the best policy, people. So, well, be honest in every time. So, before we wrap up our discussion, Mr. Joel, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season. I'm a baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review, Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So finally, Mr. Joel, what is your hope for the legacy of your children's book? What change do you want to inspire in the world?
Hmm. Honestly, I just hope the legacy is that um, kids feel like they can be kids again, right? I feel like they've lost. There's a few things you can't get back in life. You can't get back innocence, and you can't get back time, among other things.
Yes.
And I feel like kids have lost the innocence of just getting to be kids because social media and the connectivity of the world has ripped that from them. I want my legacy of this book to be one that shows kids just go back to being kids. Don't worry about the world. Just go back to being yourself.
Yes. Being kid as a kid, especially 80s, 90s.
Yes,
Nowadays, so different.
it's so different.
Yes, Mr. Joel Arcieri, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more empowering children's books to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your debut children's book?
Yes. So September 23rd is when it actually launches online, all on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the places you can order it. There's a paperback version, there's a hard copy version. But then also, you can find me on jconwell.org. That's my website. Instagram, jconwell. Facebook, Joel Conwell. And just support me there. Follow the stuff and like the things and share it and subscribe.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Joel Arcieri because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy for children to come.
Thank
So,
you.
Mr. Joel, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure. And I'm so excited to be on this podcast. And hopefully, not hopefully, the next book that I have, the kids' book that comes out, we'll talk about that one too. So, we'll just keep doing this.
Yes, please create more books because the world's needed. More to come, people. See you soon.
See y'all.